Have you ever had the feeling that something just wasn't right? Like unseen forces were quietly nudging things in the wrong direction, setting you up to stumble? The most dangerous threats aren't the ones that come at you head on. They're the ones that smile to your face while secretly hoping you fail. And the worst part? They might be closer than you think. Marcus Aurelius once said, "When someone does you wrong, ask yourself why they would do this." Not all allies are genuine, and not all kindness is sincere. Some people aren't content with their own success. They need to see you struggle, but they don't attack outright. Instead, they manipulate control and gradually chip away at your confidence, relationships, and opportunities until failure seems like it was your own doing. In today's hyperconnected world, where social media blurs the line between friend and foe, recognizing these subtle signs isn't just important, it's essential. In this video, we'll uncover 7 warning signs that someone in your life secretly wants you to fail. Pay close attention, because awareness alone isn't enough. You need to be ready to act. Sign 1, the silent observer. Not all threats make noise. Some are quiet, patient, and calculated. The most dangerous adversary isn't the one who openly challenges you. It's the one who watches, waits, and plans. Think about your daily routine. Your morning coffee stop, your usual parking spot, the route you take home. Most of us move through life assuming no one is paying attention. But what if someone is? What if, without your knowledge, someone is tracking your habits, noting your weaknesses, and preparing their next move? At first, the signs are subtle. You notice the same car parked near your home at odd hours. A co-worker seems to know details about your weekend that you never mentioned. A social media follower reacts to your posts within seconds, as if they were waiting for them. These aren't coincidences. They're patterns. Calculated moves in a silent game where you are the target. In today's digital age, surveillance is easier than ever. Many people unknowingly reveal their routines online. Check-ins, shared locations, predictable habits. The silent observer doesn't need to hack your devices or plant a tracker in your car. They only need to watch what you freely give away. They might monitor you through mutual friends, track your posts, or casually extract information from those around you. Even more unsettling, they could be someone you trust, a friendly neighbor who always happens to be outside when you leave, a co-worker who conveniently sits near you at lunch, or an acquaintance who mysteriously knows where you've been before you announce it. This isn't random. The silent observer is not a passive spectator. They're a strategist. They test your awareness, manufacture chance encounters, and use the knowledge they gather to predict your next move. This is how they gain control, not through force, but through understanding your every step before you take it. The Stoics believe that awareness is a first step toward true security. A man who is prepared has already won half the battle. If you start noticing unexplained patterns, people appearing too often, private information surfacing where it shouldn't, you're not being paranoid. You're recognizing the first and most crucial sign that someone is working against you. Ignore it, and you give them an advantage. Recognize it, and you take back your power. In a world where people willingly expose their lives, the greatest weapon isn't force, it's information. And the silent observer knows this well. The question is, do you? Sign 2, the network infiltrator. A person is only as strong as their support system. But what happens when that system is quietly turned against them? When the people you trust begin to pull away, not because of anything you did, but because of whispered doubts planted by someone else. The greatest danger isn't always an open enemy. Sometimes, it's the invisible hand that poisons a well, subtly shifting the perceptions of those around you until you're left standing alone. The network infiltrator doesn't strike directly. They don't need to. Instead, they weaken you by eroding your connections one by one. They whisper doubts into the ears of your friends, plant seeds of mistrust within your family, and cast subtle shadows over your reputation at work. At first, it's barely noticeable. A friend becomes distant. A relative expresses sudden concern about your decisions. A colleague who once respected you now second-guesses your every move. You tell yourself it's just life pulling people apart. But is it? Seneca once said, "A good character, once established, is not easily overthrown, but when undermined, it falls like a house of cards." That is exactly what the network infiltrator exploits. They don't just spread rumors. They rewrite your entire narrative. And when misfortune finally strikes, people assume it was of your own making. How do they do it? First, they identify your strongest relationships, the people who give you confidence, wisdom, and stability. Then they target those connections with doubt. They express concern about your choices, suggest that you've changed, or imply that your success comes at someone else's expense. By the time you realize what's happening, the damage is done. Your friends avoid you. Your family no longer trusts your judgment. Your colleagues no longer respect you. And there you stand, isolated, vulnerable, exactly where they wanted you. Marcus Aurelius taught, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. Your relationships, once your strength, have now been twisted into weapons used against you. But here's the truth. No one can steal your character unless you allow it. If you notice key people in your life turning against you without reason, if someone seems to be quietly shifting the balance of your social world, don't dismiss it as coincidence. Recognizing this early isn't paranoia, it's wisdom. The network infiltrator seeks to weaken you by isolating you. But a wise mind sees a game for what it is and refuses to be played. Sign 3, the emotional manipulator. Some chains are not made of iron, but of words, emotions, and invisible debts. The emotional manipulator doesn't attack you directly. They make you willingly hand over your freedom, piece by piece, until you can no longer stand without them. Lucius had a friend, or at least that's what he believed. This person always appeared when Lucius was at his lowest, offering comfort that seemed genuine. But over time, their kindness came with conditions. They subtly yet persistently reminded him that no one else truly cared for him, that without them, he would be lost, and that others didn't understand the way they did. What started as support became control. What once felt like protection turned into a prison. This is the power of the emotional manipulator. They do not merely seek to harm you. They seek to own you. They identify your emotional vulnerabilities, exploit them, and then make themselves the only solution to your pain. Slowly, they isolate you, not by force, but by convincing you that everyone else is unreliable, unworthy, or even dangerous. Seneca once said, "He who has learned to be self-sufficient is truly free." The manipulator ensures you never learn this lesson. They plant fears disguised as concern. I worry about you walking alone at night. A warning, but also a means to make you feel dependent on them. No one understands you like I do. A statement that sounds comforting, but is designed to keep you from seeking support elsewhere. If you try to break free, they remind you of your past mistakes, making you feel too weak to stand alone. And if all else fails, they hold your secrets over you, a silent threat lingering in the air. The Stoics believe that true strength comes from within, not from the approval or support of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." The emotional manipulator wants you to believe that without them, you are nothing. But that is the greatest lie of all. If someone in your life systematically isolates you, makes you dependent on them, and uses guilt or fear to control you, understand this. They are not protecting you. They are preparing you. Recognizing manipulation is the first step to breaking free. And once you do, you will realize you never needed them at all. Sign 4, the subtle saboteur. Not all enemies confront you openly. Some operate in the shadows, planting obstacles so small and precise that by the time you notice, it's already too late. Have you ever felt like life was inexplicably working against you? A promotion that seemed certain suddenly vanishes. Important emails go missing. Promises of help are withdrawn at the last moment. At first, it feels like bad luck, but over time, a pattern emerges, one that points to a silent force working against you. This is the work of the subtle saboteur, a person who doesn't attack you openly but slowly undermines your progress. A colleague who accidentally misreports your numbers. A friend who spreads quiet doubts about your abilities. A mentor whose advice leads you down the wrong path. They disguise themselves as supporters, but their true aim is to make you fail without you ever suspecting them. The most dangerous part? They don't need to break you. They just need you to doubt yourself. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The subtle saboteur understands as well. They orchestrate small failures, knowing that once you start questioning your competence, you will do the rest of the damage yourself. The moment you believe the problem is you rather than them, their work is complete. Watch for the signs: repeated accidents that hold you back, last-minute setbacks that seem too convenient, advice that subtly discourages you, and a growing sense that no matter how hard you try, something always goes wrong. These are not coincidences. They're the carefully placed obstacles of someone who benefits from your downfall. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. If you feel like unseen forces are conspiring against you, pause. Examine the patterns. Someone may be working in the shadows, shaping a world where your failure feels inevitable. But once you recognize the game, you can choose not to play it. Stay vigilant, stay grounded, and above all, never let another person's deception turn into your self-destruction. Sign 5, the resource controller. Control isn't always taken by force. Sometimes it's given away piece by piece on the guise of trust. A resource controller doesn't come with threats or aggression. Instead, they integrate themselves into your financial and legal matters, ensuring that when the time comes, they hold all the power while you're left with nothing. Imagine a man named Tiberius, a successful merchant. Over time, his trusted associate, Gaius, began taking an unusual interest in his affairs. At first, it was small, handling minor transactions, managing legal paperwork. It all seemed reasonable, even helpful, but before long, Gaius had control over key financial decisions, access to Tiberius' estate, and influence over his legal standing. By the time Tiberius realized how dependent he had become, it was too late. His assets were tied up, his authority over his own business had eroded, and when disaster struck, Gaius walked away with everything. Seneca once said, "Wealth is the slave of the wise, but the master of the fool." The resource controller understands this well. They don't just seek access to what you own. They aim to control every aspect of it. Your finances, property, even your decision-making power. They position themselves as a trusted advisor, guiding you into shared investments, convincing you to sign over access just in case, or handling legal documents under the pretense of convenience. Each small concession seems harmless until you realize you are no longer in control of your own life. Their strategy is slow and deliberate. They don't demand power. They let you offer it willingly. It might start with borrowing your car, using your credit card for emergencies, or keeping a copy of your house keys. Each step seems reasonable, even beneficial. But gradually, these privileges turn into dependencies. By the time you recognize the web of control around you, you're already ensnared. What makes them truly insidious is their ability to operate within the system. They use financial agreements, legal contracts, and shared assets to make every move appear legitimate. If questioned, they'll insist that every decision was yours. And if trouble arises, they'll have the legal standing to walk away unscathed, leaving you to deal with the fallout. Epictetus warned, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." The moment someone seeks to control what you own, they seek to control you. If someone in your life is unusually interested in your resources, insists on shared control, or quietly reduces your independence, pay attention. This isn't about helping you. It's about owning you. By the time you see the full picture, it may already be too late. Recognize the signs. Reclaim your autonomy, because no person who depends entirely on another for survival is truly free. Sign 6, the Provocateur. Some people don't just want you to fail. They want you to be the architect of your own downfall. The Provocateur is like the master manipulator, crafting situations where your emotions become your greatest enemy. They won't push you off the edge. They'll simply create the storm that makes you jump. Picture a colleague who always gets under your skin right before an important meeting. A friend who constantly dares you to take reckless risks. A family member who provokes arguments just to see you lose control. These people don't attack you outright. Instead, they set traps, waiting for you to react in a way that damages your reputation, confidence, or future. Seneca cautioned, "He who angers you conquers you." The Provocateur understands this better than anyone. They test your patience in public, hoping you'll lash out. They plant doubts in your mind, waiting for you to make a rash decision. They orchestrate small betrayals, forcing you into emotional outbursts that make you appear unstable. And through it all, they remain calm, watching as you sabotage yourself. But their tactics go beyond simple provocation. They subtly steer you toward the worst possible choices. They might encourage you to confront your boss impulsively, knowing it will harm your career. They might tempt you into overspending, wrecking your financial stability. They could push you into conflicts with close allies, ensuring that when trouble comes, you stand alone. Their greatest deception? Making you believe that their influence is support, that the bad decisions were always yours. And when the damage is done, they take no responsibility. I was only trying to help, they'll say. You're the one who chose to do it. If you fail, it's your fault. If you lash out, you look unstable. If you suffer consequences, they step back, untouched, as if they had nothing to do with it. Marcus Aurelius taught, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you'll find strength. The only way to defeat the Provocateur is to master yourself. No one can use your emotions against you unless you allow them to. If someone consistently pushes you toward reckless actions, if you find yourself making bad choices under their influence, ask yourself, who benefits from my mistakes? The Provocateur thrives on your reactivity. Take that away, and their power disappears. Do not let anyone else control your emotions. That control is yours, and yours alone. Stay calm, stay disciplined, and never be their pawn. This kind of enemy doesn't run. They don't act impulsively, but they're always moving. The only way to beat them is to recognize the game before it's too late. What you've learned today isn't just knowledge, it's protection. Recognizing these signs can mean the difference between success and sabotage. But knowing is enough. You have to act. Watch for the patterns. Trust your instincts. Stay in control. If this resonated with you, stay vigilant. Like, subscribe, and don't miss the next video. It might just give you the edge you need to stay ahead.